Tonight, we are going to do something that feels impossible. We are going to listen, not with our ears, but with our imagination. We are going to lean in close to the fabric of reality and try to hear the oldest sound in existence, the first breath of creation, the gentle, persistent hum that has been traveling across the universe since the very beginning of time. Tonight, we are listening for the universe's first lullaby, the echo of the Big Bang. It seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? A lullaby from an event we associate with unimaginable energy and power. But the story of our universe, like any good story, is filled with beautiful and quiet surprises. And its very first message to itself, the one that still surrounds us to this day, is one of profound and gentle peace. But before we tune our minds to that ancient frequency, I would love for you to take a moment, right here and now, to simply listen. What do you hear in your own quiet corner of the world? Perhaps it's the soft hum of a fan, the distant whisper of traffic, the gentle creak of a house settling for the night, or perhaps it is silence, a deep and comfortable silence that you can rest in. Whatever you hear, just notice it. Let it be the starting point of our journey, because our story tonight begins with the great silence and the even greater sound that lies hidden within it. If you find this journey through time and space helps to quiet your mind and settle your spirit, I would be so very grateful if you would give this video a like and perhaps subscribe to our channel. It helps this small, peaceful corner of the cosmos reach other travelers who might be searching for a calm and gentle harbor. And please remember that there is no expectation here, no test to pass. If my voice becomes a gentle drone and these cosmic ideas become a soft, warm blanket for your tired mind, then our mission together has been a beautiful success. If you stay with me, you may find a sense of wonder. If you drift away into sleep, you will have found the rest you seek. Both paths are perfect. So find your most comfortable position. Let your body feel heavy and supported. Let your breath find its own slow, easy rhythm. And let's travel back together. Back beyond the stars, beyond the galaxies, back to the very first moment to hear the first note of the cosmic song. When we look up at the night sky or at the breathtaking images from our most powerful telescopes, we are struck by the profound silence of space. We are taught from a young age that space is a vacuum, a perfect emptiness. And because sound, as we know it, is a vibration that needs a medium to travel through, like air or water, we are told that in space, there is no sound. No one can hear you scream, as the old movie tagline goes. And for the most part, this is true. The vast emptiness between the stars is too thin to carry a sound wave. The universe is, in that sense, a place of immense and unshakable silence. But what if there are other kinds of sounds, other kinds of echoes, not vibrations traveling through air, but memories traveling through time? A fossil sound, a message from a time when the universe was not empty at all, a time when the universe was so full, so dense, that it was in fact the perfect medium for a sound of unimaginable scale. To find this sound, we must go back to the beginning. We call it the Big Bang. The name itself suggests a colossal explosion, a violent, chaotic event that ripped through the nothingness. But this is a slight misunderstanding of a beautiful and elegant idea. A better way to think of it is not as an explosion in space, but as the unfolding of space itself. It was the first moment, the moment of becoming. The instant that the entire universe, with all its future stars, all its galaxies, all the planets, and every single atom in your body right now, existed in a single unified state. Try to imagine it. Not an explosion, but a release. The universe took its first breath. In that first fraction of a second, it was a place of infinite temperature and infinite density. Everything was everywhere, all at once. It was not dark and empty. It was the opposite. It was a state of perfect, uniform, and blinding light. For the first few 100,000 years of its life, the universe was an impossible place to our eyes. It was a roiling, seething soup of fundamental particles and energy, a plasma. Protons, neutrons, and electrons, the building blocks of all matter, were not yet bound together into atoms. They existed as a free, superheated fog, so incredibly dense that the universe was completely opaque. Imagine yourself inside a star, or imagine being in the center of the thickest, brightest fog you can possibly conceive. A fog made not of water vapor, but of pure light and energy. This is what the early universe was like. Photons, the very particles of light, could not travel freely. They were like messengers trying to run through an impossibly dense crowd. Every time a photon tried to move, it would immediately collide with a free floating electron, be absorbed, and be sent careening off in a random new direction. Light was a prisoner of the cosmic fog. The universe was full of light, but it was a light that couldn't go anywhere. It was a brilliant, featureless, and impenetrable glow that filled every single point in space. There was nothing to see, no structures, no stars, no galaxies, just this uniform, superheated plasma. The universe was holding its breath. The great song of creation, the lullaby we have come to hear, was already there. The entire cosmos was ringing with the vibrations from that first moment of expansion. But it was a muffled sound, a vibration trapped within the cosmic fog. The message was written, but the ink was still wet, blurred, and unreadable. This period is sometimes called the Age of Opacity. For 380,000 years, the universe remained in this state. It seems like a long time to us, but on a cosmic scale, it was just the first few moments after birth. And during all this time, the universe was doing two things that would change everything. It was expanding and it was cooling. Like a gas released from a container, the fabric of space itself was stretching, growing larger with every passing moment. And as it expanded, the incredible heat from that first instant began to spread out, to dilute. The universe was slowly, patiently cooling down. The temperature dropped from billions of degrees to millions, to hundreds of thousands. And then it approached a very specific magical threshold, a temperature of about 3,000 degrees Celsius, roughly the temperature of the surface of a cool red star. At this temperature, something wonderful happened. The universe was finally cool enough for the protons and electrons to overcome their energetic bouncing. The protons with their positive charge could finally capture the electrons with their negative charge and hold on to them. The first stable neutral atoms were formed, mostly hydrogen and helium. This event is known as recombination, and it is one of the most important moments in the entire history of the cosmos. Because when the free-flying electrons were captured and bound into atoms, the impossibly dense crowd that had trapped the light for so long suddenly vanished. The fog cleared. In a single universe-wide moment, the cosmos went from being opaque to being transparent. The great liberation of light had arrived. The photons, which had been bouncing around frantically for 380,000 years, were suddenly free. For the very first time, they could travel in straight lines across the universe, unimpeded, carrying with them a perfect snapshot of what the universe was like in that last moment before the lights were, in a sense, turned on. This first free-flowing light was not the white light we see today. The universe at that time was still warm, and so this first light was a brilliant, beautiful, warm glow. Imagine the color of a perfect golden sunset, or the gentle orange light of a campfire. Now imagine that warm, peaceful glow filling not just the western sky, but the entire sky. Every direction you looked, you would be bathed in this soft, primordial, golden light. This ancient light, this first visible message from the newborn cosmos, was now free to travel forever. It began its long journey through the expanding and darkening space, a journey that would continue for billions of years. And that light, that first clear picture of the baby universe, is the lullaby we have come to hear. It is the echo of the Big Bang. So, what happened to that beautiful golden light? Where is it now? And how can we, 13.8 billion years later, still hear its ancient, gentle song? The next part of its story is a tale of stretching, cooling, and the incredible patience of a message on its long journey home. So, let us picture it once more. The universe, at the tender age of 380,000 years, has just become transparent. A brilliant, warm, golden light, a final, perfect photograph of the cosmic dawn, is suddenly released, free to travel in all directions through a newly cleared space. This ancient light, this fossil from the very edge of time, is now on its way. But the universe it was born into was not the universe we know today. It was a much smaller, much hotter, and much denser place. And as this first light began its immense journey, the universe continued to do what it has always done. It continued to expand. This expansion of space is not like an explosion pushing matter outwards into an existing emptiness. It is the very fabric of space itself that is stretching everywhere and at once. Imagine a baker preparing a loaf of raisin bread. As the dough rises, every raisin moves away from every other raisin. The raisins are not traveling through the dough between them is expanding. Our universe is like that rising dough, and the galaxies, or in this case, the photons of light, are like the raisins being carried along for the ride. Now, a fascinating thing happens to light when the space it is traveling through stretches. The light wave itself gets stretched out along with it. Think of a wave drawn on a rubber band. As you stretch the rubber band, the wave gets longer, its peaks and troughs moving further apart. This is exactly what happened to that first golden light. As it traveled for billions of years through an ever expanding cosmos, its wavelength was stretched longer and longer and longer. And in the world of light, a longer wavelength means less energy and a cooler color. The brilliant golden orange light, with its relatively short wavelengths, was slowly stretched into red light. The red light was stretched into a deeper infrared light, a color our eyes cannot see but that we can feel as heat. And as the universe continued to expand and cool, the infrared light was stretched even further into the realm of microwaves. Microwaves are a form of light with very long wavelengths. They are very low energy. They are what your microwave oven uses to heat food, and they are what our cell phones use to communicate. They are a form of light that is completely invisible to our eyes, completely silent to our ears, and completely cool to our touch. And so, after a journey of 13.8 billion years, the brilliant, fiery glow of the newborn universe has been stretched and cooled into a faint, gentle, and almost imperceptible background of microwaves. It is no longer a blazing fire. It is now the faintest, most distant, and most ancient of embers. This faint, cosmic afterglow is what we now call the cosmic microwave background, or the CMB. And it is, without a doubt, the most important and profound discovery in the history of cosmology. It is the proof that our story of the Big Bang is true. It is the fossil. It is the echo. It is the universe's first lullaby, still softly humming in the background of everything. For most of human history, of course, we had no idea it was there. The sky looked dark and empty between the stars. It was a perfect cold blackness. It was only in the mid 1960s that two young American radio astronomers, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, stumbled upon it by complete accident. They were working with a very large, very sensitive horn shaped antenna in New Jersey, trying to detect faint radio waves from our Milky Way galaxy. But they were plagued by a persistent problem. No matter where they pointed their antenna, no matter what time of day or night it was, they detected a faint, steady, and inexplicable background noise, a gentle, persistent hiss. At first, they thought it was a problem with their equipment. They rechecked every wire, they recalibrated every instrument, they even climbed into the great horn of the antenna and cleaned it out, famously removing what they described as a white dielectric material, pigeon droppings. But even after all of that, the hiss remained. It was coming from everywhere, equally all the time. It was as if the universe itself was whispering. Puzzled and frustrated, they happened to learn of the work of a team of physicists at nearby Princeton University, led by Robert Dicke. These scientists had been working on the theory of the Big Bang, and they had predicted that if the theory was correct, then the afterglow of that initial fireball should still be detectable today as a faint, cold background of microwaves coming from every direction in the sky. When the two groups finally connected, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place with a sudden, breathtaking clarity. The persistent, annoying hiss that Penzias and Wilson had tried so hard to get rid of was not noise at all. It was the oldest, most distant, and most significant signal ever detected by humanity. They had found the afterglow of creation. They had found the echo of the Big Bang. So let's pause for a moment to truly appreciate what this means. The light from the most distant star you can see in the night sky has been traveling for a few thousand years. The light from the most distant galaxy we can photograph has been traveling for over 13 billion years. But this light, this gentle hum of microwaves, is older than any of them. It is not light from an object in the universe. It is the light from the universe itself, from a time before the first stars or galaxies were ever born. When you look at a map of the cosmic microwave background, you are looking at a picture of the entire universe as it was 13.8 billion years ago. It is a baby picture of the cosmos. And what does this baby picture show us? At first glance, it is almost perfectly uniform. The temperature of this background radiation is incredibly consistent at about 2.7 degrees Celsius above absolute zero, no matter which direction you look. This uniformity is a powerful confirmation of the Big Bang theory. It tells us that the early universe was incredibly smooth and evenly mixed, just as the theory predicted. It was a place of profound and simple equilibrium. But almost perfect is the key phrase here. If the early universe had been absolutely perfectly uniform, then nothing would have ever happened. A perfectly smooth soup of matter and energy, expanding uniformly, would just become a thinner and thinner soup. There would be no lumps, no clumps, no structures. To form the beautiful galaxies, stars, and planets we see today, there needed to be some small imperfections in that early smoothness. There needed to be seeds. And when we look at the cosmic microwave background with incredibly sensitive instruments like the Planck Space Telescope, we find them. The map of the CMB is not a perfectly smooth color. It is covered in tiny, faint, almost imperceptible fluctuations. Tiny patches that are a few millionths of a degree warmer or cooler than the average. These tiny temperature fluctuations are like a faded ancient blueprint for the modern cosmos. The slightly warmer, slightly denser patches were the regions where gravity had a slightly stronger grip. Over hundreds of millions and billions of years, these tiny seeds of density would grow. Gravity would patiently pull in more and more matter from the surrounding regions. These were the places where the first galaxies would begin to form. And the slightly cooler, slightly less dense patches were the regions that would eventually be left behind, becoming the great, dark, empty voids that exist between the vast cosmic web of galaxies. So, when you look at a map of the CMB, you are looking at the entire future history of the universe written in a faint and subtle code. Every galaxy, every star cluster, every single star, including our own sun, can trace its ultimate origin back to one of these tiny random quantum fluctuations in the first moments of time, preserved forever as a faint temperature variation in the universe's first light. It is the universe's own genetic code. But what about the sound? We began our journey by talking about a lullaby, an echo, a cosmic sound. And while we have been talking about light, the two are more connected than you might think. Remember that the early universe before the fog cleared was a dense hot plasma. This plasma was not static, it was a fluid, and like any fluid, it could support waves. The initial energy of the Big Bang sent colossal pressure waves, or sound waves, sloshing through this primordial soup. These were not sound waves traveling through air, but waves of density and pressure traveling through the very fabric of the early cosmos. The universe was ringing like a bell. These primordial sound waves rippling through the plasma are what created those tiny temperature fluctuations we see in the CMB. Um, a region of the plasma that was compressed by a sound wave would become slightly hotter and denser. A region that was rarefied or stretched by a sound wave would become slightly cooler and less dense. So, the pattern of hot and cold spots in the CMB is quite literally a frozen picture of the sound waves that were traveling through the universe at the moment it became transparent. It is a visual representation of the universe's first song. Scientists, by studying the precise size and distribution of these spots, can do something that sounds like magic. They can reconstruct the sound of the early universe. They can determine the fundamental notes, the harmonics, the timbre of this cosmic symphony. And what did it sound like? When they translate these ancient vibrations into a frequency our ears can hear, it is not a cacophony. It is not a violent explosion. It is a deep, resonant, and surprisingly harmonious hum. A sound that rises in pitch over the first few 100,000 years as the universe expands and the instrument gets smaller in a relative sense. It is a deep foundational bass note overlaid with a series of rising, harmonious overtones. It is, in the most literal sense possible, the sound of the universe coming into being. This ancient primordial sound is the true lullaby. It is the vibration that set the stage for everything that was to come. It is the gentle rocking of the cosmic cradle that gathered matter into the patterns that would one day become our home. And though we cannot hear it with our ears anymore, we are living within its legacy. We are living inside the patterns that it created. And with our instruments, we can still see its faint visual echo. painted across the entire sky. Let us take a moment now to sit with this profound and beautiful idea. The entire sky, in every direction you could possibly look, is glowing with the faint, residual warmth of its own creation. This is not a light coming from a distant object in one particular direction. It is a light that fills all of space. It is coming from the very edge of the observable universe, a spherical boundary all around us, from which light has had just enough time, 13.8 billion years, to reach us. It is, in a very real sense, a wall of light, a baby picture of the cosmos that forms the ultimate horizon of our vision. We cannot see beyond it, not with any telescope that detects light, because we are looking back to a time before the universe was transparent. We are looking at the moment the cosmic fog cleared. To try and see beyond, the cosmic microwave background would be like trying to see the landscape on a foggy day by looking at the fog itself. You can't see through it, you can only see the surface of it. And so we are surrounded. You, me, our planet, our entire galaxy. We are all bathed at every single moment in this ancient, gentle, and completely invisible rain of primordial photons. Think about that. If your eyes were sensitive to microwaves instead of visible light, you would not see a dark night sky with pinpricks of stars. You would see a sky that was almost uniformly bright in every direction. There would be no true darkness. The entire cosmos would be glowing with this soft, ancient light. Even the old analog television sets of the past gave us a glimpse of this cosmic lullaby. When you would tune an old TV to a channel with no broadcast, the screen would fill with a fizzing, dancing pattern of black and white dots, accompanied by a steady hissing sound. That snow, that static was the television's antenna picking up random stray radio waves. And about 1% of that static, 1% of that gentle random hiss was not from any earthly source. It was the television in its own small way picking up the faint, distant echo of the Big Bang. For decades, we sat in our living rooms, and in between our favorite shows, we were inadvertently looking at and listening to the oldest relic in the universe. A message from the dawn of time disguised as meaningless noise. This omnipresence, this feeling of being surrounded by our own origin story, is what truly makes the cosmic microwave background a lullaby. A lullaby is not a loud or dramatic song. It is a gentle, repetitive, and constant presence. It is a sound that says, "You are safe. You are surrounded. You are not alone." The CMB is the universe whispering this very message to itself and to us across the eons. It tells a story of profound simplicity and unity. The fact that this light is so incredibly uniform, no matter which direction we look, tells us something astonishing about the first moments of existence. It tells us that regions of the universe that are now billions of light years apart, so far apart that they could not have had time to communicate with each other since the Big Bang, somehow started out at the exact same temperature. This is a deep puzzle in cosmology, often called the horizon problem. How could these distant regions have known to be in sync? The leading theory to explain this is called cosmic inflation. It suggests that in the very first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe underwent a period of hyperaccelerated expansion, growing from a size smaller than an atom to the size of a grapefruit in a sliver of time, so small it is almost unimaginable. During this incredible inflationary period, a tiny, smooth, and connected patch of the primordial universe was stretched to an enormous size. Everything we see today in our observable universe was once contained within that single, tiny, causally connected region. That is why it all started at the same temperature. We are all, in a cosmic sense, from the same tiny neighborhood. This idea of inflation also explains where those tiny, crucial fluctuations came from. In the quantum world, even a perfect vacuum is not truly empty, but is filled with tiny, random jitters of energy called quantum fluctuations. During the incredible stretching of inflation, these microscopic subatomic fluctuations were stretched to colossal astrophysical scales. The tiny random jitters of the quantum foam became the great seeds for all the galaxies and structures in the universe. So the lullaby we are listening to has two beautiful parts. The fundamental note, that deep, uniform hum of 2.7 degrees, tells us of the original unity and simplicity of our cosmic home. It is the soothing, constant drone of a universe born in perfect equilibrium. But the faint, subtle harmonies, those tiny millionth of a degree fluctuations, tell a story of potential. They are the gentle, hopeful notes of a future filled with complexity and beauty. They are the quiet promise of stars, of planets, of life itself, written into the very first light. A perfect balance of stillness and possibility. And this ancient light is still teaching us. By studying its properties in minute detail, scientists can learn incredible things about our universe. They can measure its age with remarkable precision. They can determine what it's made of, how much normal matter, how much mysterious dark matter, and how much even more mysterious dark energy there is. They can even learn about the shape of the universe itself. Is the universe flat, like a sheet of paper extending to infinity? Or is it curved, like the surface of a giant sphere, so that if you traveled in a straight line for long enough, you would end up back where you started? Or is it curved the other way, like a saddle, open and infinite? By studying the way the light from the CMB has traveled and the apparent size of those ancient fluctuations, scientists have been able to answer this profound question. The evidence, with a high degree of certainty, points to the universe being flat, not in two dimensions, of course, but geometrically flat in its three spatial dimensions. This means that on the largest possible scales, the universe seems to obey the familiar rules of Euclidean geometry that we learn in school. Parallel lines will always remain parallel. The angles of a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. There is a simple, elegant, and perhaps even comforting order to the grandest architecture of the cosmos. And yet, this ancient light also carries with it a hint of a deeper mystery, a few subtle anomalies, a few notes in the cosmic song that our current theories can't quite explain. There are certain patterns in the fluctuations that seem a little too aligned, a little too organized than we would expect from a purely random process. There is a large, unusually cold spot in one part of the sky that is statistically very unlikely. These are not cracks in our theory, but rather they are intriguing puzzles. They are the quiet, unanswered questions that the universe is still whispering to us. They might be hints of a new physics that we don't yet understand. They might be the faint signature of other universes bumping up against our own in a grander multiverse. Or they might simply be the cosmic equivalent of a random roll of the dice, a statistical fluke in the grand lottery of creation. We do not know. And that too is part of the beauty of this lullaby. It is not a story that is finished. It is a song that is still being sung, a message that is still being decoded. It is an invitation to remain curious, to keep listening, and to be comfortable with the profound and beautiful mystery that lies at the heart of our existence. So let's bring our awareness back, just for a moment, to our own quiet space, to the feeling of your own body at rest. Every second of your life, an estimated 400 billion photons of this ancient cosmic microwave light are passing through you. They travel through the walls of your home, through your body, through the very planet itself, almost as if it weren't there. You are being gently and constantly rained upon by the very first light of the universe. You are bathed in the afterglow of your own creation. You are inseparable from it. This constant, gentle rain of primordial photons is not just a poetic idea, it is a physical, measurable reality. It is a tangible, unbroken thread that connects your personal existence right here in this very moment to the first fiery dawn of the universe. This ancient light, this echo of creation, is not something distant and separate from you, an astronomical curiosity confined to textbooks and scientific papers. It is, in the most literal sense, a part of your immediate environment, as real and as present as the air you are breathing, as the force of gravity that holds you gently to your bed. It is, perhaps, the oldest and most constant companion you will ever have. Let's pause to truly feel the depth of that idea. We live our lives surrounded by light from various sources, each with its own story and its own age. The warm, life giving light from our own sun that bathes our planet and warms your skin during the day is, in cosmic terms, incredibly fresh. It began its journey from the sun's surface only about 8 minutes ago. The soft, reflected light from the moon, which might be casting a gentle silver glow through your window tonight, is even fresher. It is just over a second old, a nearly instantaneous echo of the sun's nearby presence. When we look further, we begin to appreciate the vastness of space and time. The light from the nearest star to our own, Proxima Centauri, has been traveling for over 4 years to reach your eyes. The light from the brilliant star Vega, a beacon in the summer sky, is 25 years old. The light you see from the entire Andromeda Galaxy, our great cosmic neighbor, began its journey 2.5 million years ago, at a time when our earliest human ancestors were first walking the Earth. Each of these is a message from the past, but the light of the cosmic microwave background, that is a message from a past so deep it almost defies comprehension. It is a light that has been traveling toward you for 13.8 billion years. It is a message that was sent long before the Earth had even begun to coalesce from a swirling disk of dust and gas. It was sent long before our sun had ignited its nuclear furnace. It was sent long before our own Milky Way galaxy had even settled into its beautiful, majestic spiral shape. It is a message from a time before time as we know it, a time before structure, a time of pure, simple, and unified beginning. And its destination after all this time, in a very real and physical sense, is you. Its immense universe spanning journey finds its end when it is finally absorbed by a piece of matter in the present. When one of those ancient photons, after traveling in a straight line for 13.8 billion years, finally strikes an atom in the wall of your room, or a leaf on a tree outside, or a single solitary cell in your own body, its long cosmic pilgrimage is finally over. You and everything around you are the final resting place for these countless travelers from the dawn of time. There is a profound and quiet comfort to be found in this realization. It serves as a gentle antidote to the feeling of cosmic loneliness that can sometimes creep in when we contemplate the vast dark emptiness of space. It connects us to the grand unfolding story of the cosmos in the most direct and intimate way imaginable. We are not just isolated observers, peering out at a cold and distant universe from the porthole of our small planet. We are active participants. We are inextricably woven from the same primordial fabric and are, at this very moment, being gently and constantly bathed in the same ancient foundational light. The universe is not just out there, it is right here. It is passing through you. And so the metaphor of a lullaby, which we have been gently exploring, becomes even more fitting, even more true. A lullaby at its heart is not just a song sung to a sleepy child. It is a transmission of a feeling. It is a sonic message of peace, of safety, of profound and unconditional connection. It is the sound of a calm and loving presence, a gentle and constant hum that surrounds a small and vulnerable being, a message that says, all is well, you are held, you are safe, you are not alone, you can let go of the day, you can safely drift off into the restorative darkness of sleep. The cosmic microwave background is the universe singing this exact same lullaby to itself and to everything within it. In its almost perfect, almost featureless uniformity, it sings of a deep, foundational peace, a persistent and eternal memory of a time when everything was simple, connected, and in perfect harmony. It is the soothing, constant drone of a universe born in a state of profound equilibrium. But a lullaby is not always just one note. Within its simplicity, there are often subtle and beautiful harmonies, and the cosmic lullaby is no different. In its faint, subtle, almost invisible fluctuations, those tiny patches of warmth and coolness, it sings a different tune. It sings of a quiet, hopeful promise. It sings of potential. It sings of the seeds of all the beauty, all the complexity, and all the wonder that were yet to come. It contains the quiet coded promise of the first stars, the first galaxies, the first planets, and eventually the first life. It is a perfect and beautiful harmony of both stillness and becoming, a song of both rest and gentle, patient creation. A perfect melody for a universe falling asleep, and at the same time for a universe just beginning to dream of what it might one day become. And now, as our long, quiet journey through the echoes of time and space comes to its gentle and natural close, let us bring our awareness back one final time. Let us pull our focus back from the very edge of the observable universe, back from that magical moment when the cosmic fog cleared and light was set free, back from the ancient ringing sound of the primordial plasma, the first note in the cosmic song. Let us bring our awareness all the way back to this room, to this bed, to this singular, precious, and profoundly peaceful moment in your own unfolding story. Take a moment to truly arrive back in your body. Feel the steady, reliable, and comforting weight of your own physical form. Notice the gentle pressure of the blankets and pillows around you, a soft and secure cocoon. Become aware once more of the slow, steady, and easy rhythm of your own breathing. A gentle inhale and a long, slow exhale. Each breath is a perfect anchor to the present moment. It is a tiny, personal tide pulling you away from the vast and abstract ocean of cosmic thought and into the safe, warm, and familiar harbor of your own being. The universe, as we have seen, is a place of almost unimaginable scales. It contains concepts of time that can stretch and break our minds, and it contains paradoxes and mysteries that challenge the very nature of reality. It can be easy, when faced with such vastness, to feel small, fleeting, and insignificant. But the story of the cosmic lullaby teaches us a different, more comforting lesson. It teaches us that the grandest story of all, the story of the entire universe, is not separate from us. It is our story too. The very atoms that make up your body, the carbon, the oxygen, the iron, were forged in the fiery hearts of ancient stars. And those stars, in turn, owe their very existence to those tiny, hopeful fluctuations in the primordial light that we have been contemplating tonight. The immutable laws of physics that govern your every heartbeat, your every thought, are the very same laws that orchestrated the majestic unfolding of the cosmos from that first hot, dense, and perfect state. You are not an accident in the universe. You are not separate from it. You are a part of it, a very special part that has woken up just for a little while and is now looking back at its own origins with a sense of gentle wonder. You are a way for the cosmos to know itself, and you are, at this very moment, being held, supported, and surrounded by the oldest, gentlest, and most constant memory of your own creation. And so now there is truly nothing left to do, no more great cosmic distances to travel in your mind. No more complex theories to try and unravel. The story has been told, and its final, peaceful note is fading into a comfortable silence. Now it is time for rest. It is time to give your thinking mind permission to dissolve. It is time to let go of the day, with all its thoughts, all its worries, all its small and large concerns, and let them drift away like distant galaxies in an expanding universe. I invite you now to simply listen one last time. Not for the cosmic hum, but for the quiet internal rhythm of your own being. Listen to the gentle beat of your own heart. Listen to the soft, steady whisper of your own breath. Listen to the feeling of deep and profound stillness that is beginning to settle in your body. This is your own personal lullaby, a song of peace and safety that is always with you, always available, whenever you choose to listen for it. Allow the gentle, steady, and irresistible pull of sleep to be your own personal recombination. The moment when the busy, energetic, and opaque fog of your day finally clears and your mind becomes calm, clear, and transparent. Allow yourself to drift into that state of peaceful, restorative darkness where new worlds, the worlds of your dreams, can form like the very first stars in the early quiet universe. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the very beginning of time. I hope it has brought you a sense of wonder, a feeling of deep and profound connection, and a pervasive and lasting sense of peace. If you have found a moment of calm here in our quiet corner of the cosmos, a like or a subscription is always so deeply appreciated. It helps this small, drowsy universe of ours to grow and to reach other travelers who may be searching for their own quiet harbor in the night. But for now, all that is left is the quiet. All that is left is the gentle darkness behind your eyes. All that is left is the slow, steady rhythm of your own breath and the ancient cosmic lullaby that holds you and the entire universe in its gentle, loving, and timeless embrace. Sleep well. Dream of the beginning. The universe is singing you to rest.